So, hey everybody, welcome back to Stratego Freaks for another educational and fun video. Today we're going to take a look at a game between Nemesis and Bruz that took place about a year ago. The important part about this game, and this is something that every Stratego player should know, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you should know the proper times to exchange pieces of equal value. Sometimes the timing is wrong and the situation is wrong to exchange. Even if you're up the big piece, sometimes we get up a big piece and we want to exchange down to simplify and use the advantage of that big piece to dominate. But when you're down in minor pieces, sometimes exchanging down is not the right move, and we're going to see why that doesn't work in this video right here. So pay attention to the details here, and I'll talk through it the best I can. So let's just jump over to the graveyard and take a look at what's happening. As it stands right now, Nemesis is down a captain, down a 7, but he is up the major. So generally, oh yeah, and then if we look at the scouts, he's down a few there. Fairly even game, but definitely up the big piece. Now let's continue. All right, so now this is pretty big. Information is always huge, and discovering that Marshal at this point is great news for Nemesis. The spy's in a fantastic location to stop this from coming down, and it's just good to have information and be up the big piece. Okay, let's keep going. So Bruz just comes in and bang, he loses the Marshal. Now we're up 2 big pieces, and there's really no, if you're playing this position right, barring some crazy lottoing, Nemesis has a great chance to win and definitely in control of the game. So he gets the major back, but then there's an exchange. Okay, so here comes the Colonel. Now this has to happen. This is a known Colonel here, and he can't afford to have anything lottoed, so he's going to make the exchange, and that was the right move at that point. Let's keep going. So unknown Colonel here, lots of unknown pieces. The Marshal on Nemesis' side is still unknown, so he's up that big piece. Now let's see what happens over here. Now Nemesis centralizing the Colonel to utilize for attacking and defending. And he's pushing up with this onto this piece here, which is, I believe, a known captain. Now this is kind of a mistake. I don't think that the exchange, and I think looking back, Nemesis agrees that exchanging colonels wasn't the right idea. He could have utilized this colonel in conjunction with this major, and when he decides to bring the Marshal out, to trap and get pieces back so he won't be down the minor pieces. So he makes a mistake here. Now the opportunity to snag that is gone at this moment. He does manage to grab that, but he forgets the 6 move. Now this is kind of, a year ago, and Nemesis definitely wasn't as experienced, and made quite a few mistakes in these positions. So it happens to the best of us. We all know that. So let's see what happens here. All right, so boom, he picks that up. So he gets an important captain back. So that was a step in the right direction. Things are looking pretty good for Nemesis. And then the spy, boom. Now this is a 1 position. To get the spy to even out on captains, be up the Marshal, and no spy on the board. This should be pretty much wraps, right? But it's not. Let's find out how Bruz comes back. Okay, so there was an exchange there. And now this piece is coming around, and it looks like a major. Now let's see here. All right, this captain moved just because Bruz might be desperate and come down and start lottoing. So I think a Nemesis just wanted to make sure that didn't happen, and he kept it alive and avoid a trapping situation. So there's a piece back. So now he's back up the 6 or down the 6 over here. And let's keep going, keeping pieces alive. And let's keep going. All right, this is terrible. This should not have happened. I'm going to move back just so you can see. He pushes over, and instead of avoiding a obvious 2 square, he moves the major. Don't know why. He probably kicked himself for that one. And then he's going to lose. This was a valuable piece at this point in the game, and he goes down another piece. So the value of this 4 becomes more important, because once again, he doesn't have to exchange. There's a known 6 here, and there's clearly plenty of pieces to attack. Using the marshal and the 4 without the spy on the board, he can hunt down any piece that moves or that's discovered. But that doesn't happen. Any exchanges. Now, this is a kind of a rookie move. There's the time to exchange and there's times not to. And right now, let's look at the graveyard again. He's down a captain, he's down a 6, and he's down a 7, and a couple of scouts. So Bruz has quite a few pieces on the board. Let's keep going. I'm going to power through this and we'll just see what takes place. So discovered there. Bruz tightens up his belt here and plays a pretty solid endgame and clearly understands what he needs to do to win. And now I think this makes this look like an obvious marshal. It hadn't made an appearance, and I do think it came out a bit late, but now it's fairly obvious. So pieces coming around. Exchanged again. Now Bruz has that captain advantage, and he can utilize that as a power piece and really create some problems here. Okay. So not bitter about getting the minor. Now this is good moves on Bruz's part. He's willing to just give that up and get rid of a minor and then get another piece. So he's increasing his piece advantages, or at least maintaining them and whittling the threats down. Another exchange. So, or even on the 6s, exchange there. But those 2 7s are going to be a plague, nagging. Another exchange. And, essentially, he doesn't mind giving that up because he still has piece advantages here. And another one gone. He's running out of pieces to move. Now, how do you defend this, right? It was played pretty much expertly to get to this point. Now he's in a lot of danger because now this is just a pinned down piece. And Bruz has plenty of pieces. Now that this corner piece is moved, this looks like, these 2 look like flag locations, if you're asking me. And I think Bruz totally understands that. He's not going to let this minor get down. And he takes. And he's just going to move on to it because Bruz knows if the marshal takes, this has a free shot across. And that's what it looks like. And he's just going to move right on it and take it. So, kudos to Bruz for understanding the position of the game, understanding material advantages, and hunting down that flag. And of course, Nemesis made a number of mistakes to get into this dilemma. But I think what's most important was that exchanging and the time that it happened. If you're new to the game, just because you're up the big piece, don't get a false sense of security. Take a moment, calibrate, recalculate, and make sure it's the right time to do that. I mean, there's times where we're forced into exchanges, that's one thing, but when you're not forced into it and you have the opportunity to utilize a piece with the marshal, that's the better course of action, as this game clearly demonstrates. We're going to take a look at another game that took place, I don't think that long ago, but it shows the change in mindset and understanding of position. So it's something similar, but Nemesis makes the necessary adjustment and finds the way to win. So let's take a look at that game right now. All right, now we're going to take a look at part 2 of the when to trade down and when not to trade down. And this game took place a few weeks ago, and it clearly shows the course correction in Nemesis's gameplay to avoid what happened prior. So this came through, many games and learning the proper way to progress certain situations. And let's take a look at what that course correction is. If we're looking at the board here, it's pretty even, although Nemesis is down these 2 7s here. There's a known kernel, 2 known majors, and this is a mystery piece, but Nemesis believes it could be the marshal. So let's keep going and see what happens next. All right, so the gen is discovered. Now this kernel moves down, and Nemesis could take it, but he is concerned that if this is the marshal, it could run across and possibly do some significant lottoing. So he's not willing to take that chance. Plus, by not taking it, still keeps this marshal a mystery, and he might be able to collect the kernel later or the gen, who knows. So he's not willing to take it and give up that yet. So he moves down on it, trying to force something. All right, let's keep going. Piece coming around. Now he pushes on it, and that's an insta hit by the opponent here, but this does allow Nemesis to pick up that kernel and go up the big piece. Now let me stop here. So we're still concerned about this being the marshal, so we're going to keep that there. And we know this gen coming down, so this exchange had to happen. That was fine. Okay, now that's a good exchange because we're up the big piece, but we are down a few 7s here and a scout. So we got to be careful of how to progress. And let's keep moving. All right, that gets discovered, but we're down another piece, right? Okay, exchange to stop any craziness. And he found out what that was. This needs to happen. Still not the right, these are fine exchanges. Now, he's trying to get, Nemesis is trying to get some pieces back. Okay, now, 2 majors left on the board here. We know our opponent's major, but Nemesis's major is still unknown. And it's going to become very valuable in the late part of this game. So he's not going to allow that to get taken. And this forces, this could be a minor. He kind of wants to exchange down and try to utilize that advantage. But what happens is that he takes, and now another piece comes back to Nemesis' side of the board. Captain exchanges. They're even there. Now the major can come out and be utilized. So since we know our opponent's major here, this major is now an attacking piece, and it will help the kernel. They'll work together to trap, defend, or attack any piece on the board or any position on the board. So that one's kind of stuck there. Turns out to be a scout, and he's going to pick up a piece, but then we scout right back. So a piece goes down, but we get back that 7. Now we're even there, so that was important. Let's keep going. All right, bringing down an early minor to see if we can open something up. He's going to check this corner just to eliminate a potential flagged in spot. There's still, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 potential bombed in locations here. And on this side of the board, there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential bombed in locations. So it's very tricky. All right, so didn't find a bomb, but we did find a 6, which we happen to be down. So that's great news because we got to pick that up. All right, a discovery there. Nemesis not moving anything on his side of the board, making our opponent make some decisions here, possibly waste pieces. Okay, pushes that out. All right, miner off the board. But he loses a 6 there, so he's still down the material. Another miner gone. Now this is a pretty good hit by the opponent. You know, he's getting those, trying to get those advantages back because he is down the big piece. But still not allowing the major to get taken. Now this is a trap piece, and this is crucial right now. Boom. That's big. Now, being down to the 2 minors, he doesn't have too many chances to get there, and every minor is brutally important. Still being very stingy with that major. It wasn't the right time to trade. But then he picks it up. Now, that 1 minor is going to be pretty easily identified. I mean, not totally, but it's going to be hard to get it down and penetrate this situation here. This is looking like the flag right here. This looks like a tripod. So having the kernel here it's kind of isolating the board and stopping. So that had to happen. And now is the time to exchange because there's nothing stopping this miner from getting up the board. Pushes the 6 to stop possible miner coming down. Exchange, and he's not even gonna be concerned about what's coming down. He is moving and taking, and the game ends right there. Now, that would not have been possible without that 4 on the board. And this is the difference a year makes in Stratego. So I'm going to reiterate this to all beginners, intermediate, and even advanced players. There's a time to exchange and there's a time not to. If you're down in the minor pieces, you need to utilize your big piece in conjunction with your next biggest piece in order to do what we just saw right here. Hunt, trap, isolate the board, and then go for the victory. And I think that this pretty much sums it up perfectly. Guys, I got to run. I hope this helps you secure a victory. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful. I will see you guys on Strategus, and I hope to beat you there too. Have a great day, guys.